webinar topic is social media strategies for your busy season. So we're going to go over some tips and tricks just to make sure your networks are running smoothly. That way you're really getting the most out of it when it comes to your busy season, when guests are staying with you, really talking about you on social media, so you know how to interact and get the most out of it. So I'm going to put a face with my name here. So I'm Stephanie Johnson. I'm the social media specialist with RedStream. I've been here for just a little over 3 years. I have been in Colorado for about 7 years. I originally came here to work in public relations and quickly found out that that wasn't exactly the right path for me, but I did like communicating in the digital sphere, so I was lucky enough to make that transition into social media, and so I've been in that space for about 5 years now, almost going on 6. It's a really fun space. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy doing these types of webinars to help you guys love it, hopefully as much as I do. In that photo, that is my fiance in our matching jammies. I would like to point out that that was not my idea, but it does make for a cute Christmas photo. And then just a little fun fact, he and I are learning Italian for a trip that we'll be making to Italy in 2018. So now that you guys have learned a little bit more about me, let's actually move on to the fun stuff and talk about social media. So like I said, today we're going to go over what networks matter. So really what networks are pertinent to the travel industry, where should you be active on, and where are you going to find your guests. After that, we'll kind of talk about some spring cleaning and auditing best practices, then move into best practices for the different networks. And then finally, we'll highlight some tips and tricks to enhance customer journey, really just making sure that you're focusing on social media on all aspects of the guest journey. So whether they're just starting to look for a place to go or whether they've already stayed with you and you're trying to get them to become a repeat guest. So let's talk about the 3 networks. The most important ones that I've identified for most of our clients are Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. Facebook is kind of your catch-all network. That's where you're going to find the majority of travelers, the majority of people that are willing to follow brands exclusively. Whereas Pinterest and Instagram are really great networks, especially if you host weddings or if you have an on-site restaurant, you're in a really cool location, but you're not going to get the kind of results that you are if you had a presence on Facebook. Facebook makes it really easy to track people, show how many people are visiting your website. They pretty much offer you unlimited opportunities to share links back to your own website, whereas Pinterest and Instagram kind of hide that a little bit more. They're very visually focused. They want people to stay on their network as long as possible, looking at those beautiful photos that you've taken the time to invest into. So some of the some of the stats that I'd like to call attention to is how much time people are spending on these networks. So if you're noticing the visual ones, people are averaging about 21 minutes per day on that network, and now that's spread out throughout the day. It's not like people just spend 20 minutes at a chunk of time going through the network and then not checking it back again. People are kind of sporadically going back on these networks. Though I will say Pinterest, you do tend to see larger chunks of time spent on Saturday mornings as people are especially looking for travel-related photos. Whereas on Facebook, you're getting about double that amount of time. Again, that's spread out throughout the day, but that just gives you more opportunities to talk to your customers, to really get your information out in front of them, and it's a network that people really are truly staying on there for a while. I guess another stat that I'd like to call attention to is just how many active users are on these networks. I mean, you've got about 1.71 billion people on Facebook alone, and then up to 300 million people on Instagram. So no matter what network you end up choosing, chances are pretty good that you're going to find the right types of customers and you're going to get some sort of traction out of these networks. All right, so let's talk about some spring cleaning stuff just to make sure that your networks are in tip-top shape before we move into your summer and busy season. This is a little snapshot of what our social media audit looks like. Now, this is not the whole thing, because you're not probably going to want to get as granular as I do with your growth rate, your demographics information. For example, is your audience more local or are they spread out across the country? But this is just kind of a nice way to keep track. So you can either do this, as an Excel document or a Google sheet, but it just helps you understand, okay, maybe I'm really growing on Instagram, but people aren't really following me on Facebook, so maybe in my next email campaign, I should remind them that I'm active on Facebook and that they should follow us there so they can stay in the know of what's going on at the property or even potentially receive exclusive discounts. One thing, another thing that I use the audit for is kind of just keeping track of what fans engage with. So say I share a photo of breakfast and it's a really cool photo of the blueberry pancakes and people really like that, and then maybe the next day, because I'm a dog-friendly property, I share a photo of a dog-friendly hiking trail and nope, no one's really that interested. The audit is a great place to start keeping track of, okay, they like food photos, maybe they like more experience-based photos, information about the property, whereas they're not really engaging with these types of content topics, so I should stay away from those and just emulate my successes with content that I already know they like. So another section on spring cleaning, just kind of some cleanup basics that we should have, especially on like your Facebook page. Again, like I talked about earlier, Facebook makes it really easy to share links back to your own website. So whether that's through your Book Now button that you've got on there, your About tab, they even just have a space for your website. You can share links back to your website with every post you do. They make it really easy, but you should also make sure that it's optimized for those users. Make it very easy for them to get right into your booking engine or to learn more about your rooms. You can even change that Book Now button to Call Now to make it easy for guests that prefer to call you directly over the phone instead of making a reservation online. I know that people are still out there. I personally would rather click Book Now, but everyone has their different way of booking their vacations. Another important part of this is your NAP and your bio. So NAP refers to your name, your address, and your phone number. Now, this is just an SEO basic that applies to social media as well, that no matter what website or where I find your property, those three things should be consistent and identical across every network. So your name should always be the same, your address should always be the same, and your phone number should always be the same, no matter where I find you. That just makes it easy for Google to recognize your different properties and websites and connect them all together, and it just makes it easier for the guests. I don't want to have to remember that, oh, you go by this name on Facebook, but oh, you go by this name on Instagram. You don't want to put that onus on your guests. Make it as easy as possible for them to find you. And then when it comes to your profile photo, I always opt for using a logo, or another best practice is to use something that's very distinctive to you. So if you have like a welcome sign, or if the front of your property is used in all your marketing materials, you can use that. I just think a logo makes it really easy because, again, it typically has your name, it's instantly recognizable, and just helps complete the whole picture of who you are. And then next to your profile photo, you're going to have your cover photo. This is a great opportunity to highlight different rooms of your property. This one should always try to be seasonal. So if it's snowing at your property right now, you should probably have a winterized photo showcasing your property. I know that summer's coming up, people are getting excited to travel, but it really should match the expectations of what people will have when they get there. Again, I don't want to see a cool summer photo and get there and be stuck in 9 feet of snow. That's just going to make me mad as a guest. So just making sure that it kind of paints the picture of what people are going to have when they actually get to your property. I already touched on the CTA, but again, that can be Book Now, Call Now. You can even have them sign up your newsletters. There's a bunch of different options. I typically like to use Book Now for our clients just because it's very easy to understand, and it's typically what we're using on their website to get them into the booking engine anyway. Finally, your URL and username. Again, that goes back to consistency. Your URL and your username are similar to your website, your brand name. Again, just making it consistent and easy for me to find you no matter where I'm looking. And then notifications. On Facebook, you can set up all these different notifications. I prefer to get a notification every time there's activity on a page. That way I'm there immediately to address it in case it's a guest, checking in and being like, where am I supposed to go for dinner? I can make sure that I'm getting that check-in immediately. I can go in and reply to them being like, hey, come stop down by the front desk. We'll hand you a map and point out some of our favorite restaurants in the area, or even just responding to them directly, offering them a couple suggestions. It's just a nice way to let your guests know that you're active and that you're actually monitoring what they're doing on social media when they get to your property. So next in spring cleaning, we have kind of some technical information. So Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter offer different types of markup data. So that's just back-end coding that goes onto your website, but it makes it really nice when other people are sharing your content and when you're sharing your own on social media. So the different types are open graph, and that relates directly to Facebook. It's pretty similar to, if you're familiar with what metadata is, it's essentially data about your website. So it helps people understand, the title of your page, if there's any photos, descriptions about that link. I will say that you will need a developer to help you with this kind of data, but these two tools that I'm showing you on this slide kind of show where you can test your own website to see if you have that markup data implemented on your website so that it does pull those links, makes it look really nice for people that are sharing it, and kind of just gives you a leg up on the competition because it's going to make your post take up more real estate and kind of just be better looking aesthetically speaking. So I'm going to show you some examples of what these look like in action. This first one is a link that's going to be shared on Facebook. So I ran it through the debug tool, and so it did find that, okay, it does have open graph data on there, so it knows that it's a website. It's going to match up the title. It's going to pull in the photo that I want it to pull in, and it's going to write a nice little description for me already. So I don't really have to do much more work when I'm sharing this. All I have to do is write a little caption or, encourage people to click on that link to read that blog post. The same thing, this is what Twitter gave me back when I ran it through their tool. Again, it's pulling in a nice photo, so it's going to make that tweet really big. It's going to make it stand out from others because, again, people like to look for images. Their attention's going to be caught by that, and again, it just kind of gives them a little preview. So that way I'm not using my 140 characters to say exactly what's below that title. I already know that information is going to be in there, so I can use some more clever copy to encourage them to click on that tweet to go back to my website and read my blog. And then finally, Pinterest. If you hover over any image on your website and that little save icon pops up, you're good to go. That means it's very easy for your guests to save all your images while they're on your website to their own Pinterest boards. It also makes it very easy for you if you're managing your own Pinterest, and you can just go to different pages of your website and, say you wanted to share the strawberries photo because it's from your champagne package. Makes it really easy for you to share that because you don't have to copy that link. Go to Pinterest, create a new pin, put in the link, grab the image, write a description. It's going to do it automatically for you. So it just saves everybody time, yourself included. All right, so now that we've kind of done some spring cleaning, we made sure that our profiles are following best practices, we're good to go. They're all optimized. Let's talk about some engagement best practices. So you will kind of see that a lot of these best practices kind of span all the different networks. They just have certain tweaks. So the 80-20 rule, if you've attended any of my other webinars or seen me speak at CABI, you know that I'm a big fan of the 80-20 rule. I'll even drop it down to the 70-30. But the 80-20 rule essentially means that 80% of the content that you're sharing, whether that's photos, links, blogs, whatever you're sharing, has to be informative, engaging, educational, resourceful, informational. It helps them plan their trip. And the other 20% can definitely be promotional, so reminding them of any limited time specials you have going on, any cool packages they might want to add on to their stay, highlighting specific rooms, whatever you want. 20% of the time you can be doing that. Otherwise, the other 80% should really be focused on the guest and making sure that they can plan their vacation, they know what to do when they get there, they're finding out about, a cool concert that's coming to the area. It's just making sure it provides a well-rounded experience for your guest. And the next point is talking about your captions. So you really want to make sure those are to the point, especially on Facebook and Instagram. People aren't really coming there to read. They want to look at the cool photo, learn about it, and if they're interested, they'll click more. So your caption is your opportunity to kind of truncate that information, maybe pull out a cool stat, and get them to click the link so they will go read more. But otherwise, if they didn't click it, they still kind of understand what you were trying to tell them. Whereas Pinterest varies from these two accounts as they really do favor descriptive captions. You really want to get into that flowery kind of language and describe the experience people are going to have, describing the room, describing your package, making sure that it actually paints the picture, because not everyone's going to click away from that on Pinterest. So you want to make sure that you tell your story as much as you can on that particular image. And then finally, you'll see that keywords are used consistently across all the networks. Now, I'm not saying we're going to go back to 1999 where every other word on your social media post is going to be a keyword, because everyone's going to click away. No one wants to read that. But you can find easy ways to put in your keywords, and especially location-based words, into your posts. So say, for example, we're sharing about hiking trails. My caption maybe would be, looking for the best moderate hiking trails near Denver for your next stay with us? Check out this ranking by REI, and then I would share a link to REI's blog where they're highlighting maybe the top 10 hiking trails near Denver. It just makes it easy because, again, I'm following that 80% rule. I'm making sure that it helps them plan their trip. They're still understanding, what the content's about, and they know that if they want to read it later, they can always come back and find that post, and now they know that it's near Denver. One thing that I think a lot of people kind of struggle with when it first comes to social media is they don't want to say their brand name, or they don't want to keep saying like, well, my guests know I'm in Denver. Well, I understand they do, but your fans are also probably following 60 other brand pages. Chances are pretty good that some of those are other hotels or properties that they've stayed at. So it never hurts to just remind them, where you're located, dreaming of a vacation in Denver, come stay with us. Using that kind of language just to remind them of where you are and to encourage that repeat visit. And again, people aren't going to automatically remember where you are just by seeing your name, so it's okay to include that. Now, don't go on the flip side and say, looking for Denver hiking trails near Denver, come stay at our Denver hotel. No, I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying find a way to easily weave in those keywords that you're going for and the location of where you are. Now, the one difference you will see here is that hashtags are only appropriated to Instagram, and I did that for a reason. Both Facebook and Pinterest in the past have relied on hashtags to help their algorithms sort and understand information that's been going through it, but both of those networks have kind of moved away. It didn't really take off on Facebook. It did for a while on Pinterest, but probably about a year ago they updated their algorithm, and it doesn't take hashtags really into account anymore. So that's why I recommend using those descriptive captions, and again, using those keywords and the location-based words in your description, because hashtags aren't going to help you out anymore. You really need to rely on that description and making sure that it's providing as much value to your guests as you can. And then for the next best practice, this kind of just talks about how much time you should be allocating to these networks each week. Now, this isn't taking into account like managing. I leave Facebook open all day so I can get those notifications, make sure I'm checking in with my guests. But as when it comes to posting, I'm posting about 3 to 5 times per week on Facebook. I'm spending about 5 to 10 minutes each week pinning on Pinterest. And then Instagram 2 to 3 times. That one's actually gone up a little bit since they've also kind of refined their algorithm. But at least 2 to 3 times should get you a pretty good traction on Instagram. Again, as long as you're using those descriptive keywords and hashtags in your captions. And then finally, for relationship building, when people are commenting or liking your posts, best practice on Facebook is to respond, and if you can, tag the original commenter back in their own post. So if someone writes a review for my property, I'm going to go on there and say, oh, thanks, Deborah. We really appreciate your stay, and we hope you come back and have another nice trip with us. It just makes them feel special. It tags them, lets them know that you've commented back, and it's just kind of a best practice to show that you're paying attention. Whereas on Pinterest, you don't necessarily have to comment when someone pins a photo from your website. If they have and they talked about, planning a vacation at your property, you can definitely comment on there saying, if you need any assistance planning your vacation, don't hesitate to reach out directly. Otherwise, just the best practice on Pinterest would be to follow them back, especially if they have any travel-related boards or if they have a board specific to the region you're in. Just kind of shows them that, oh, thanks for pinning my information. I'm interested in getting yours too. And then on Instagram, pretty similar to Facebook. If someone comments on your photo, just respond. A simple thanks works on there. And then again, just give them a follow. People really like feeling validated on Instagram by gaining followers, and it's just something easy you can do in return for them taking the time to follow your account and even comment on it. Now we're going to delve a little bit deeper into specific Facebook best practices. One of the tools that I use that saves me a lot of time, that saves a lot of innkeepers a lot of time, is using a content calendar. I will show you an example of this on the next slide, but essentially a content calendar is going to help you take away time each day going in there being like, oh no, what am I supposed to post? I'm supposed to be posting 3 times a week. I already shared my blog. I shared a package. There's nothing else going on. What am I supposed to do? Content calendar eliminates that. I typically do mine about 2 weeks out to the start of the new month, and I just do the whole month. So for example, I just wrapped up April calendars, and so I have all my posts laid out for the month of April. Now obviously if something else comes up, like say there's going to be a concert that I didn't know about, I can easily swap out a post, but at least I know I have something to say for each day that I want to be posting. I've already got the caption written out. I already know where I'm linking them to or what photo I'm sharing. It just makes it very easy for me to already have content in place instead of, scrambling around trying to find some sort of link to share that people might not even care about. And again, that content calendar kind of relies on that audit that we talked about in the beginning. You can kind of start to keep track of what information engages guests, what are they really interested in? Are they interested in hiking trails? Are they interested in restaurants and dining? You can kind of start to weave that stuff back into your content calendar each month because it's something they're already interested in, they've already engaged with it, and it's going to help you essentially boost your own organic reach. Again, people are following lots of pages, they have lots of different friends. I think the stat is still at any given time when a person logs into Facebook, they could be shown 1,500 different stories. So the more you're sharing content that people are already engaging with, the more chances people are going to continue to see your content, meaning your engagement rate's going to go up, and eventually when you get to that 20% where you're sharing those promotional posts, they're going to be clicking on that link because they already trust the information that you've been sharing. So then to go in tandem with the content calendar, automatic posting, and that's the example that you see there on the right. This, again, just saves you a ton of time because you can go in, you can copy your link, copy your caption, and then you just drop down, click schedule, and I can set it for an hour in the future, 10 minutes in the future, 3 weeks, 2 months, however far out I know I want this post to go, I can have it scheduled so I don't have to log back into Facebook on that day thinking, oh my gosh, I have to get this one post up. Nope, I've already scheduled it out ahead of time. So it's going to take you some time up front, but it's going to save you a lot of time in that day-to-day management instead of having to log in, copy and pasting the link, copying that caption, or even sitting there trying to think of something clever to talk about. It just saves you that time because it's already scheduled to go out automatically. It doesn't tell people that it's been scheduled, so all of your guests assume that you went in there and posted that directly to the network. They have no idea that, oh no, you were actually checking in a guest at that time that that post went live. The next best practice is UTM tracking. So if you use Google's URL builder, this essentially helps you, again, kind of understand what topics are engaging your fans and what links they're clicking back to your own website. You'll only use this when you're tracking links back to your own website. So again, when you're sharing your specials, specific room detail pages, packages, or blogs, I use this a lot for, but it really helps provide some context for what people are interested in because UTM talks directly to Google Analytics. If you haven't really played around in Google Analytics, I highly recommend you go back and watch some of our previous webinars by Liz on Google Analytics as it gives you some really good insight. You should definitely be using analytics while you're doing social media marketing so you can really understand the behaviors of your guests. What topics got them to your website from your social media that you can emulate again in the future. And, oh, okay, they really like hiking trails, So I think, I can make a couple more blogs for my own website about hiking trails that I can then share on social media. And I will show you an example of what UTM tracking does look like as well. The next best practice is testing out Facebook Live. It's essentially just a live video feed of whatever you're doing at the property. Right now, about 100 million hours of video is being viewed daily by Facebook users, so they are interested in it. They're interested in seeing it. Now, of course, you want to make sure that you're actually getting something out of it. You're not just Facebook Living you checking the guests or walk around the property. But you can definitely do some clever and fun stuff with it, like behind the scenes, maybe meet and greet with your housekeeping staff. You could do in the kitchen as you make those fantastic blueberry pancakes that everybody loved, or even visiting like a nearby winery and interviewing them as you do a tasting and reminding them that, hey, this winery is within a 5-minute drive of our property. We hope you'll visit them next time you stay with us. Again, it's something fun, it's something different, and it makes it really engaging for the fans because they can go on there, they can comment on the video as you're talking, so you can talk directly to them. They can share their feelings about it. It just makes it a little more engaging, and you can definitely have some fun with it. And then my last best practice for Facebook is using boosts or running contests. So boosting is essentially a mini ad. It used to be you had to go in and create a whole big ad campaign anytime you wanted to advertise something, whereas a boost essentially allows you to take, let's say, the spring break promotion example. I post it, it's not really getting as much traction. Okay, I'm going to spend $20 and Facebook's going to repost that in my followers' news feeds to ensure that people see it. It basically just helps you get more eyes on your posts and hopefully more action. So I always recommend that if you're going to boost, you should be doing something about your own property, a special, something that potentially could drive revenue for you. I've seen some boosts that really don't have any reason to be boosted. It's just a nice photo of a sunset and then maybe a link back to their website. Well, that doesn't really do me any good. That's not going to have a good ROI in my eyes. So I would say, again, if you're doing a special, a package, or something fun that's going to drive some revenue, yeah, I would definitely be comfortable throwing $25 to $30 to have that be re-seen by people that have already indicated an interest in your brand. And then finally, contests. Contests are just kind of an organic way of getting more eyes on your page and gaining new followers. This could be something as simple as people sharing a photo of a sunset from when they stayed at your property, getting their friends to like that photo, and then maybe they win, a complimentary bottle of wine in their room or 20% off their next stay. With contests, of course, the more difficult you make it to enter the contest, the better the prize should be. Otherwise, you're not going to get any traction. So again, make it as simple as possible for people to join that contest and make the incentive worth their while. So complimentary bottle of wine, you might get some people commenting on that, whereas like a free night stay, chances are pretty good you're going to get people that are commenting and getting their friends to come back to the page to like their post so they can win. And then eventually those friends will probably be like, oh, well, John really enjoys staying there. Maybe I should check them out too. So it's just kind of an organic way, again, to indulge your fans, reward them for following you, and grow your following. Then these are just some examples that I wanted to run through. So this is just a little screenshot of the content calendar format that we use. So again, you'll see that the post date is laid out, so I know exactly what days I'm posting content, what the topic is. And so this is kind of where I keep track of my own 80-20 rule. So engagement posts, events, general posts, those kind of fall in that 80% rule. It's something that's of interest to my followers or that I think they should definitely know. And then you'll see that, yep, there's a promotional post, and so we're trying to, plan a little spring break getaway without the kids. So it kind of follows those rules, and again, it just makes sure that I have something to post on the days that I want to post, and I'm not sitting there scratching my head being like, oh, okay, well, Easter's coming up, let's see if there's an Easter event. Oh, nope, I've already got that covered. So next I want to go back to that UTM tracking. So again, I don't know how many of you have ever seen links like that up at the top where it just looks ridiculous, and when you look at it, you're like, I'm not supposed to remember this, am I? nope, this is something that's talking directly to analytics. So again, I can keep track of exactly what content types people are coming from, what network they're coming from. So I would just come into the URL builder and, for example, say I'm sharing a blog. I would copy that website URL, paste that in there. I want to share it to Facebook. If I was sharing it to Twitter, I would just delete that and put in Twitter. Then the campaign medium is always going to be referral. Again, that's just something that talks directly to analytics, and that's how they track social media visitors. The campaign name, you could change that depending on what you want to track that as. So you could just say social media could be your campaign name because you know that you're going in and creating these links specifically. And then the campaign content just kind of helps you understand, what content you were sharing. So whether that's the blog, your specials, maybe it's room 44, champagne package. This just helps you quickly identify what kind of content got people to the website. All right, so let's move on to some Pinterest best practices. With Pinterest, it's a really great network to reach shoppers and travelers. I also highly recommend it if you have an on-site restaurant or if you are a wedding venue. It's a really great way to reach a ton of those people that are planning that. Pinterest has also grown just within like the shopping and retail market. Just a fun stat is that 93% of pinners use Pinterest to plan or make a purchase, and at 55%, Pinterest is the most popular network for shoppers. So people are going on there to get ideas, and why shouldn't your property be advertising itself here while people are searching for travel inspiration? So some tips I have for this network is that you should always track your website pins. So that's what that little screenshot is showing you. If you go to pinterest.com/source/ and then put in your own website, you'll see all the pins that people have saved from your own website to what boards. So this way you can kind of engage with them like I was talking about earlier. So you can go on and comment, making sure that they're having no issues planning their vacation. You can follow them back. You can see exactly what board they put it to. So again, if someone had put my property into a Denver board, well, maybe I want to follow their Denver board because that's where I'm located. They might have other neat pins that I want to share with my followers on there. So it just makes it really easy to find the people that are already sharing your content and just kind of engage them further and make sure that they're having no issues planning their vacation. The next one is the pin amount and how much of your own content you should be sharing. So earlier I mentioned that you should be spending about 5 to 10 minutes each week pinning. Now that doesn't mean you should just be clicking pin, 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 pin while you're on the network. Pinterest algorithm has changed over the years on how it organizes people's feeds, and depending on how you're showing up, you could just be taking over someone's home feed, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to seem like it's being spammy. So I would say in those 5 to 10 minutes, maybe you're only sharing 3 or 4 pins because, again, you're making sure that the descriptions are well written, they have the location-based words, the keywords in there that you want, and maybe one of those is a pin back to your own website from a recent blog you did, and then 2 of those are pins from other sources. So maybe a recipe they can make in their own room, or some wedding colors that you think your guests would really appreciate if they're planning their own wedding at your property. So just making sure that you're kind of mixing up your content. It's not just solely your property, your property, your property, a blog, something else. There's a nice mix so that way they're all going to different boards. Again, you don't want to come off as spammy on this network. And then finally, just again, focusing on those keywords and those strong description tags. That's really going to be what helps your pins do well in search when people are looking for travel or looking for Denver hotels. That's where Pinterest is going to recognize that, oh, okay, this image goes with Denver hotels, so now that Sally's looking for Denver hotels, we're going to serve her this image because we can tell by the description that's what it's about and she might be interested in it. So then some Instagram best practices. On this network, like I've said before, hashtags are definitely welcome. In fact, hashtags or posts that have at least one hashtag get about 12.6% more engagement on their post. Now, that doesn't mean hashtag every other word. That means that you're using the appropriate hashtag. So whether that's Then for hotels, maybe you have a property-specific hashtag or brunch, happy hour. Those kind of hashtags are going to help you show up better in search and be actually relevant. So focus on words that you think you want these to be associated with, hashtag those. You can definitely just add 3 or 4 hashtags at the end of your post on Instagram. That's definitely okay. It's not like Twitter where you really should try and weave your hashtags in your description. This one, it's okay to tack them on at the end, but again, just make sure they're relevant. There's no reason to just be hashtagging like vacation, sunset, Sunday, pasta. Like, you want to make sure that they actually add some value to the photo, and so that way when people are searching those hashtags and they come across your content, it's actually relevant to what they want. They're going to trust you more, and chances are they will start to follow you. The next best practice is using a consistent filter. 60% of the top brands use the same filter for all of their content. It just kind of helps make all their pins look the same, so when people come across them in their home feeds, they immediately recognize what brand it's from, who it's from, because it looks very similar to their other content types. Now, that doesn't mean you can't play around with it, but you want kind of a consistent look across all your images, just like you kind of have a consistent look with all the photography on your website. You know, you want someone that knows what they're doing, they've edited the photos really nice. That's what your fans want from you on Instagram as well. They want to see those nice, professionally done photos with nice filters. So I would try and keep it somewhat soft. You know, you don't want those harsh, vibrant lights. You want it to be easy on the eye and pull them in. And then posting time. Before, Instagram used to just be kind of a one-size-fits-all network, but they did branch out to open up business accounts. So if you have converted your Instagram account over to a business account, you can actually go into your insights and find out what time your guests are using Instagram. And lo and behold, guess what? That's when you should be posting your Instagram posts, because chances are they're already online. So they'll come across that photo, they'll engage with it, perhaps they'll go back to your website. So just making sure that you're mindful of when people are online, that's when you should be posting your own content as well. Next, you should definitely have it linked to Facebook. So any posts that you put on Instagram should automatically be sent to Facebook. Typically, automatic linking has been frowned upon in the past with social media, but with this one, I definitely can see making an exception just because it kind of cross-promotes both accounts. It makes it very easy for people on Facebook to be like, oh, they're on Instagram. Okay, I'll go over to that account and follow them there as well. Even though it's going to be the same content that's being shared, it's just a different format, and it just shows, you know, that you're active on both of these accounts. So it makes it very easy, and it's basically a switch of a button for you to be able to share the same piece of content to 2 different audiences. The next option is using Bitly. So on this Cosmopolitan example, you'll see that after their bio, you always get a link. So typically, most people just put their homepage website on there. You'll see that theirs is kind of a little bit different because they have a longer link. Now, another option would be to use a Bitly, which is a URL shortener, and it just makes it really easy for you to change that out. So you could tell people, you know, oh, hey, we're changing up our breakfast menu, go check it out. You can copy your breakfast page from your website, put it into Bitly. It'll give you a much shorter URL that you can copy, and then you can go paste that back onto your Instagram account. So it'll take people to the right page. It's just not as much time for you having to type out that whole URL on your Instagram profile. It's a very common practice. People are used to it, so it's not going to make you stand out. It's not going to make it look weird. And it just helps you easily change that URL depending on what kind of offer or what action you want your followers to take. Then next is multiple images. So Instagram used to be square photos. You only had one, had filters, and it was very easy to use. They're kind of starting to change their format a little bit, and now they're kind of copying Facebook where they let you actually upload multiple photos in one post, and now it's just kind of a scroll through. So say you have 2 photos of your pool that you want to share, you can upload both of those. Basically, people will just scroll through them instead of seeing them stacked right on top of each other. It's just a great opportunity if you can't narrow your choice down to one of your favorite photos. You can upload more than one. Another option besides using multiple images would be to use video. Video kind of follows the same format that it does on Facebook, where it plays silently at first and then people can tap to turn on the sound. The videos are a great way to capture people's attention much faster than a static photo does. But you are limited in time. I believe you only have 60 seconds for your video on Instagram. So whether you stick with the traditional format of the square photo, do multiple photos or videos, you've got some options to capture people's attention. And then finally, Instagram kind of copied Snapchat. So if you'd ever been curious about trying Snapchat, I would definitely recommend moving over to Instagram first and trying out their story feature, which is their version of Snapchat. It just makes it easy for you to share kind of almost like Facebook Live videos with your followers. It just stores it, so when your followers log back in, they can tap and watch your story. It's not going to show up in their home feed, and it's just something a little bit different, but it doesn't force you to try a new network that you might not be as comfortable on. And then, like I talked about with the Instagram business accounts, this kind of just shows you a little screenshot of behind the scenes of how to find those times. You just go into your Insights tab and look for your followers, and it's going to pull, okay, your followers are really active on Saturdays, Fridays, and Mondays. And okay, so maybe I want to post on Friday, so I'm going to click my hours. Oh, okay, so I can either post at 3 p.m. or maybe I want to wait until like 7 p.m. because I know a lot of people are on at that time. That's when I'm going to make sure to be posting to Instagram instead of, maybe I have time first thing in the morning at 6 a.m., but there's not going to be that many people that are going to come across that post. So utilizing these insights to make sure that you're posting when your fans are active to get the most engagement out of it. And again, if you're giving them an action such as booking a special, chances are you're going to get some sort of return on that because you're reaching a higher audience of people at that time. So now we're going to move on to the tips and tricks to enhance the customer journey. So these are just some settings that you can enable just to make sure that whether they're in the awareness stage or whether they've already bought from you, you're making sure that your social media presence is optimized for that whole journey. So the first one is setting up automatic replies. And again, I'll have an example of this in the next slide. But essentially on Facebook with Messenger, you can turn on automatic replies so you don't always have to answer those messages. So you could set up a message saying, thanks for reaching out on Facebook. We try to check our account as much as we can, but for an immediate response, please email us directly at this email address or give us a call at your phone number. It just makes it so that people aren't just sitting there waiting for these messages that might not get answered. They're being redirected to perhaps a communication platform that you're a little bit more comfortable with. Messenger definitely can be kind of annoying, especially, if guests have 9 billion questions where it's like, well, maybe if we had a phone call, this can kind of eliminate some of that to make sure the guest actually gets in touch with you in an easy way for you to reply to them. The next one is your booking engine link. So this is just an example of our cloud software. We can add links to the confirmation page so that I can share my upcoming vacation with all my friends on social media so they can get jealous of my vacation and then, well, maybe they'll go plan their own because they love the view, they've visited your website because there's a link in there, and now they're going to plan a trip as well. You just got 2 guests because one of them shared their upcoming vacation on social media. So it's just a setting that's really easy to turn on and makes it really easy, again, for them to tell your own story instead of you having to be like, hey, come book a vacation with us because we have great views. Well, no, I just booked my vacation and now all my friends are going to be booking theirs too. The next one is reviews and check-ins. Like I said earlier, that kind of ties back into that notifications bit, where if you've got your notifications turned on so every time there's action on a page, you can go in and talk to these guests immediately and just kind of show them that, oh, I'm here, I'm active, what do you need? With reviews, it's not as in-depth, I would say, as TripAdvisor reviews need to be. Typically just thanks, we can't wait to have you come stay with us again, or even highlighting a specific thing that they called out. is very easy to do. And then check-ins is, again, that opportunity to say, like, oh, hey, welcome to the property. Don't forget to come downstairs tomorrow at 9 a.m. for our world-famous pancakes. It's just an easy way to let them know, again, that you're paying attention, makes them feel validated that they checked in, and it makes them aware that, oh, okay, they're paying attention, so if something is wrong, I know how to contact them. Then the next one is user-generated content. So kind of similar to a check-in, user-generated content allows you to reuse other people's photos or posts or words about your own property to tell your story without you having to come up with it. So if someone shared a really cool photo from your rooftop deck and you share that, as long as you're providing credit to whoever shared it with you originally, people are going to like that because, oh, you're sharing your own guest information. It's a photo that you didn't have to go take. And again, it just reminds them that you're active, you're paying attention to what's going on online about your own property, and it makes them feel validated because, oh, cool, now the property I'm staying at really likes my photo and they're going to share it with their people. It just kind of helps them feel a little bit more special. And again, it makes it very easy for you to find content to share that you don't have to come up with. And then the next one is the thank you letters or email campaigns. Always, always, always include links to your social media profiles in any communications that you have with your guests, whether that's encouraging them to follow you from their confirmation letter to help them plan their vacation better, or if that's thanking them for staying with you and, hey, stay in the know on what's going on at our property, get exclusive discounts, follow us online, we'd love to have you return again. Just encourage them to follow you back. It doesn't take that much time, and it can help, again, turn those guests into repeat guests. And then finally, exclusive discounts, like I just mentioned. It's very easy for you to say, hey, Facebook fans, we really appreciate you. So to say thanks, if you call and make a reservation and use the promo code or secret word Facebook fan, we're going to give you 15% off your next stay with us. Again, it puts the onus on them to actually use it, but it just shows like, oh, okay, I followed them because I was hoping to learn more about their specials or discounts or offers, and now they're giving me an exclusive one because I chose to follow them. It's just a nice little reward. It's not something that's going to eat too much into your revenue off of this. And again, it just makes them feel validated for following your account. And these are just two examples of what I just talked about. So the first one is the automatic message. Again, it's something that you set up. It's a little template and just makes them feel like, oh, okay, they've already responded. I know that they'll get back to me, instead of just letting that message sit there for forever where the guest is going, well, okay, are they ever going to reply back to me? Like, I guess I'll go look for another hotel. And then the other example is, again, the Cosmopolitan. You'll see that they're using one of their guests' photos, providing credit, but it's a photo they didn't have to take. They're making their guests feel validated, and people are going crazy about it because it's just something different. It's a nice, cool view. They're actually seeing a real guest experience instead of a staged photo. Now, obviously, it's a little staged because who drinks their champagne like that? But again, it's content that someone else is sharing to talk about your own property. So you're not sitting there being like, ooh, look at us, we're awesome. You're having your guests already tell your other guests, hey, look how awesome they are, or look at the experience I had. Don't you wish you had this too? So again, user-generated content can just kind of help paint the picture of the experience at your property and kind of take the onus off of you coming up with certain content. Now, don't go to the other extreme where all you're sharing is user-generated content. This should definitely fall into that 80-20 rule of engaging content. I wouldn't count this as promotional when I use user-generated content, but depending on if they're pushing a specific promotion for you, then it might. But this is just, again, an easy way to find content that you didn't have to create. All right, and finally, the conclusion. So just some key takeaways from today. Automate what you can. Again, using Facebook scheduling tool. If you have a Hootsuite account, Buffer also is a good one. Any of these tools where you can just load all your posts and kind of set them and forget them is a very easy way to save you some time, makes it very easy on your schedule. And again, if you're not able to post during those peak times that your audience is already online, it allows you to do that because, okay, you know you're going to be stuck at the desk checking guests in, but all of your Facebook posts are still going to go out when your fans are online because they were already pre-scheduled. Next one is just make it a habit. Get in the habit of checking your notifications. Make sure you're checking your messages. Make sure you're checking that Pinterest source webpage to see where people are coming from. Just whatever you can make a habit to really analyze your social media results, you can emulate those in the future, is a good thing to have. And then following the 80-20 rule, really put the focus back on your guests. You know, 80% of that content is really focused on them. I've come into situations where I've been working with clients and, you know, maybe they're a dog-friendly property, and I love dogs. So I got really excited. Oh, yes, we're going to share really cute photos of dogs. We're going to talk about dog-friendly restaurants, dog-friendly hiking trails. And the first 2 dog-friendly posts didn't really do that well. But then when we talked about the local winery, everyone really loved it. Everyone liked it. They commented on it. They love that winery. Okay, but I like the dogs, but the fans don't. So I'm going to start to kind of weed some of that content out and really start focusing on the winery or food and drink. If you want your Facebook, or if you want really any social media network that you're managing to be successful, you have to let your guests rule it. You have to give them what they want, show them what they've already indicated interest in, even if it's not something that you think they should be interested in. Just always go based on what they're telling you they like. And they're going to do that through comments, likes, and shares. The next one, try using ads or boosts. Again, boosts start at about $20 to $25. So if you just want to get some more eyes on that promotion that you're going to be sending an email campaign about, why not try a Facebook boost as well? Reach new audiences or reach your past guests to make sure they saw that post and that they know that they can take advantage. And then finally, like anything, expect and adapt to change. I can't tell you how many times these networks have changed their layouts, their algorithms, their rules. Over the past few years, it's constantly changing, and just make sure that, you know, if you are going to run a contest or something, just check their rules, make sure that it follows the right channels, it's laid out the way it should be, and just expect, again, that things are always going to change, and that 6 months from now, some of these tips might not even be valid anymore. So just kind of stay up to date. But again, one thing that's never going to go away is the focus on your guests. So making sure that they're getting something out of following your accounts is always going to be the #1 thing that you're going to want to do on social media. So with that, I'm going to open it up to any questions. If you guys do, let's see. All right, so we had a question. People are booking for summer now. Why show all the current snow? That was just an example because, again, we're in Denver. Estes Park just got hit by like 2 feet of snow. And so for those clients that we're working with, we're not going to be showing, you know, cool summer trails and people wear shorts, because that's not what they're going to get if they start, you know, traveling now. And let's see, I think. I don't see any other questions. If you guys do, please feel free to put them in that question box, or feel free to get in touch with me through my email address that's displayed on the screen. Otherwise, yeah, I see no new questions, so I'm going to close out the webinar and let you guys get back to your day. So thank you so much for attending, and be sure to check out our website for any other upcoming webinars that you might be interested in. Thanks.